Hey everyone, what's up my friends all around the world? First off, we really appreciate you being here with us. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. So, Rasmussen just gave Donald Trump a negative approval rating of -2%. That's down from a positive 8% just last June. All the other polls have Trump in the 30s, maybe some even in the high 40s. This is literally the worst start to a presidency ever. Worse than even his first term. Because of this, government-backed media hosts like Laura Ingraham are literally threatening Republican senators. They're basically saying, you better support Trump's agenda, or else. Here's what she said responding to an extreme right-wing influencer named Eric Dye, who said, at least 4 Republican senators are threatening to block Trump's Doug Cuts package, which would cut funding for NPR and PBS. They are Lisa Murkowski, Mike Braun, Susan Collins, and Dan Sullivan at a public meeting. Laura Ingraham, Fox News government media host, said, I'd be happy to travel to Alaska, South Dakota, and Maine to hold public meetings where I ask American citizens if they want to fund these things. That would be interesting. What a dirty propaganda stunt. Seriously? That's what you do? Go threaten them? You think that's your job as a reporter? If you actually reported the news, everyone would know you're a terrible propagandist and a bad person. You might make a lot of money, but you sold your soul and it's super pathetic, just like Laura when she brings on Lara Trump. Laura and Lara show up together and that's all they do on their show. Honestly, that's how they'll be remembered. They bring on Lara Trump, the wife of Trump's son, and say, this is the most transparent administration in history. They're literally an unbelievable crime gang. But hey, play the clip. Yeah, Laura probably cut her hair too short. I don't know. It's a new hairstyle too. I noticed that. President Donald Trump is the most transparent president in American history. As you just said, right? He never misses a chance to talk to the press, interact with them, and answer every possible question. Okay, then, you have Laura Ingraham saying all these lazy liberals and Medicaid freeloaders love Colorado. You don't have to work. You don't have to go outside. For them, Colorado's great. What are you even talking about? You guys were the biggest misinformation spreaders about the elections. Nobody was happy with it. What the hell are you talking about? Here, play this clip. They love Colorado because you can stay home, order DoorDash, get a government check. Nobody goes to church, but you can go to the liquor store, order weed online, right? So weed, porn, no church, no work, and, DoorDash, binge watching Netflix. Also the George Floyd riots, right? Because that's what they say about all these people on Medicaid who don't want to work and somehow get rich off Medicaid. These 35-year-old men living in their mom's basements getting rich off what? Surgical reimbursements for their doctors? What kind of dumb talking points are those? Most healthy people work, and most unhealthy people need some form of health care like Medicaid or something, and healthy people will also need health care. Not all workplaces provide it. Laura then bring on Will Cain. Then Will Cain says former President Obama should be criminally charged. That's what they're talking about. The big obvious elephant in the room here is Donald Trump on the Epstein list. Trump's covering up that he's covering up the Epstein list. So now they're throwing everything at the wall because they know this whole thing is a sinking ship. Look how desperate he is. Play this clip. Let's look back. In 2020, a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee did a deep dive and found this quote from Secretary of State John Kerry. He told the committee he gave a written memo to President Obama calling for a bipartisan national commission similar to the Warren Commission to thoroughly investigate every aspect of Russia's attempt to interfere in the 2016 election. He said he was disappointed the idea wasn't supported and moved forward. Instead, Obama gave the task to the intelligence community, which resulted in what we saw, the Steele dossier and CIA and FBI reports. President Trump. Here's the question. Shouldn't we be investigating Obama's role in the Russia collusion hoax? Then Lara Trump shows up again. Laura Ingraham says, we have Mandani. This guy Mandani will build communes in luxury buildings. You know, all the Fox viewers living in those fancy houses, you get what I mean? He'll build communes. No, he just wants to make things affordable for everyone. Isn't that what Donald promised but lied about? Go ahead, play this clip. But the extremists are the only ones left. Like you just said, we have Mamdani, who will be the Democratic Party nominee in New York and might become NYC mayor. This guy wants to defund the police, wants communes and luxury buildings, and is openly anti-Semitic. You have Jasmine Crockett, a rising star in the party, and these are their stars. That's why we have to take the midterms seriously. Laura, I want everyone to hear me loud and clear. We can't let people like this become U.S. senators. Look at the big beautiful bill, right? It wouldn't have passed without the small number of Republican senators. And we need to make sure we fight these elections with the same strength and energy as in 2024 because this is serious. The thing is, we laugh it off because it's honestly ridiculous. But don't get it twisted. The Democrats left in the party are extremely extreme now and we can't take anything seriously. I want everyone to make sure they plan to actually go to the polls in 2026. Yeah, prices are way lower now, right? Housing is cheaper, food costs less. Go to the supermarket, go to the store, things are more expensive. You can keep saying 100 times things are cheaper. We got rid of inflation. That's not true. We know. And now Trump's new tariffs on the world will cause more inflation. What the hell are you doing? These guys are some disturbed, crazy people. Fox is panicking because Jasmine Crockett, the Democratic Congresswoman from Texas, whom you all know and like, is beating John Cornyn, the Republican senator from Texas, in a direct race. Play this clip. A shocking poll shows Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett leading the race for Republican Senator John Cornyn's seat. But the bigger news is the massive backlash over the Texas flood disaster being the main focus. Well, it's not news because they do this to everything, even talking about her haircut. That's a weird mix of topics. Of course, Fox had to bring in Kristen Noem, the so-called dog killer, who didn't activate urban search and rescue teams from FEMA within 72 hours after the storm hit. She waited until Monday or Tuesday. The storm hit on a Friday, but she still had plenty of time to post pictures on Instagram asking the public, which picture should be my profile pic? Cowgirl Queen, Blonde Queen, or Icy Queen? Really? I reported on that. We were actually the first network to launch the Midas Touch campaign. We showed her Instagram posts while people were dying and she wasn't activating the rescue ops. Okay, just say other news networks spread fake news. Okay, play this clip. CNN reported that you slowed down the process. Want to respond? Here she is. Fake news. CNN totally disproved that by saying the Coast Guard, Border Patrol, and Borak teams were there immediately. Everything I talked about, they asked for, and we were there. The governor and emergency management director Nim Kidd were great. No one there said they didn't get everything they wanted or needed right away. I'm proud of the work we did to support that. But we have floods in New Mexico and North Carolina too. So I was visiting their leadership teams. Spent a lot of time on the phone yesterday with the New Mexico governor to provide resources as well. That's what we do. CNN keeps manipulating politics and spreading false, lying, and misleading news. It's not surprising, but it's a real disservice to the country. People are starting to lose trust in anything on the news. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But they simply don't trust anyone anymore, and this is definitely not our country. Brooke Rollins wants to talk about all these healthy people on Medicaid who are going to work on farms, right? Meanwhile, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, has been stepping up their operations on California farms. Yeah, so all these healthy Medicaid folks will end up working on farms, and then she talks about automation. That's the biggest lie here. Play this clip. The H-2A visa program. I know they're working on that to fit the president's vision, but ultimately, the goal is an automated American workforce. There are plenty of healthy adults in this country not working, so yeah, we'll get there. But this president's heart is with the farmers, always has been, and will work non-stop until we find the right solution, but it doesn't include amnesty and definitely moves toward the American workforce he envisions. Then there's Kristen Noem spreading lies about how the streets looked under former President Biden. Play this clip. First, ICE agent working conditions. We're worried about what might happen next because we're not seeing any easing in our tone. Actually, the situation is getting worse. Some Democratic leaders in certain communities and states are stirring up emotions, lying, and putting these officers' lives at risk. So I hope people remember these officers are just upholding the rule of law and remember how dangerous our streets were under the previous administration. And President Trump and these ICE officers are chasing killers, rapists, and those trafficking our kids. Since Trump took office, we've located over 10,000 missing kids and reunited them with family. Over 400 different predators involved in these crimes have been arrested. So these ICE officers are patriots, out there every day, making our streets safer. Then Todd Lyons, the acting ICE director, messed up answering a question when Fox asked him, "So how do people know if ICE is responsible for them or if they're being kidnapped by a disguised smuggler? Isn't that also dangerous for ICE?" Watch what Todd Lyons said. Play this clip. I was struck by what Karen Bass, mayor of Los Angeles, said when she asked, "How do we know this is an arrest and not a kidnapping?" I'll let you think about that. How will you know? Well, Dana, you can see it in all the videos, right? They say ICE officers don't wear proper badges. You can see their tactical gear and vests. You know, the badges. Look at FBI, ATF, ICE, HSI, whoever's with us. So the mayor's claims are totally false. What she's doing is scaring people away from us. If you know LA isn't a sanctuary city, we wouldn't have to be on the streets. If they handed these criminals over to us in a safe place, we wouldn't be there. So the mayor is just fanning the flames and making things worse than they really are. Finally, there's Republican MAGA Senator Pete Ricketts. He was asked about cutting U.S. funding for people with AIDS in Africa, or for pregnant women to prevent their babies from getting AIDS. He said, he can't even think about how many people the U.S. government has killed in Africa by cutting aid and stopping life-saving AIDS and HIV drugs. This was his answer. Play this clip. You're not necessarily the one advocating this, but what do your colleagues think about how they want to change the cuts package? Look, we're the U.S. Senate. We took the big, beautiful bill. And by the way, I told you we would finish negotiations, but we took the House bill, improved it, and passed it. Now we'll improve spending control, which we need to balance the budget. This cuts package is a great first step, but again, we want to review and maybe improve it. Some colleagues, for example, are concerned about programs like PEPFAR. That's the program George Bush started to fight AIDS in Africa. We definitely want to get rid of the previous administration's woke policies, but it also serves a really good purpose. So we just want to make sure, while we get the right size and cut unproductive parts, we keep the good parts. I think that's what my colleagues mean when they say, hey, we want a chance to look over this precision package. And let me show you, unlike what the Democrats say, here's Democratic Senator from New Jersey, Senator Kim, on MSNBC. I gotta say, I've covered many natural disasters over the years. Hurricane Sandy, hurricanes, droughts, and such. It's kind of strange that the acting FEMA director lacks emergency management experience and doesn't seem to know there's a hurricane season. Maybe he was joking, maybe not. And Bobos, while they were dismantling the agency after this and as we prepared for hurricane season, yeah. And where is he now? Has anyone seen him since the Texas disaster? I mean, we have an acting FEMA director who's completely missing in action. And he wasn't joking when he said he doesn't know when hurricane season starts. Actually, when I was holding a hearing to confirm another senior Homeland Security official, I asked them when hurricane season starts. They didn't know the schedule. At the end of the video, thanks for listening and please follow the news channel, watch upcoming videos and support us by subscribing.